Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nate Carlisle Show, where today I was fired up about the political bullshit that's going on, but I'm going to circle it back around, and I'm going to talk about sales and estimating in a service-based / construction subcontractor business. Hey, look, it is a phenomenon how many people will go to these sales events that they think they need these sales trainings from these car salesman gurus, Grant Cardone, Andy Elliott, all these stuff. They think they need those sales tactics when they're not realizing they actually need a service-based sales training. Hey, and I unfortunately don't have a recommendation. I'm good at it. Maybe I should create a course on it. But I don't know. There's a course out there that is centered around a service-based sales. And so I wanted to delve into the differences and all that. And I had a little meeting with my team this morning and just talked about how each estimator, each salesperson in my organization could do what they could do to be able to make 150, 200 grand right off the bat, you know. And so estimators, estimating in a subcontractor, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot easier, and so the pay for that is a lot less. If you're estimating for a contractor, the pay for that is roughly, 120-ish. 120 is average for general contractor's pay, but a subcontractor, it's closer to 80-ish. So how can an $80,000 salary estimator start getting paid $150,000 to $250,000 a year? That's what the subject's going to be today. But we're going to start all the way back into what's the difference between selling an item versus selling a service. Number one, if you're a good closer, if you're a good salesperson, you can sell. If you have the right avatar, if you have your right client, you can sell an item in 1 or 2 phone calls if you're great at it, right? But there's no scenario, 99% of the scenarios that you're going to deal with in selling your service is going to be based on different factors, based on like, do you have the right price? Do you have all the inclusions? Are you providing the right service compared to all these other competitors? So it is hugely different, and it's going to take 10 or 15 or 30 conversations sometimes to sell these high-ticket service-based products to your customer. It's a different dynamic. You're not selling. Another huge factor is you're not selling directly to the consumer, which is the developer here. The consumer of my product is the developer, is the owner of the building. And they hired an architect, an owner rep, and then the owner rep and the architect, most of the time, together go and find the general contractor, and then the general contractor comes and finds me, right? So there's different levels that are there, and so I need to figure out who the decision maker is. I need to figure out where I need to go. The problem is when we get a bid invite, we're getting it from the lowest of the totem pole in the general contractor, which is the estimator coordinator, who is not, and I repeat, is not the decision maker. If you think your sale ability is going to transfer from the general contractor's estimate coordinator, it's not going to. You need to get him the pricing, obviously, because that's the channel that they want it from. You need to get him to the pricing, and then you need to figure out where the decision maker is. Very seldom is it in the general contractor's estimating department. Most of the time, it's in the project manager's department. Who's going to be the project managers? Sometimes a lot of these general contractors are well organized to the point where if they start to go after a job, they know who the project manager is going to get on there. And so they know who to coordinate with inside their internal internal self there. And so you need to figure out who that project manager is. Go show up on one of his current job sites, give him a phone call, and just start adding value during the estimating process. Do not add value to that estimator coordinator. It will not turn into a sale. You have to figure out who is going to be in charge of that project, who is going to be estimating, or who's going to be project managing that job, and who will be making the decision maker based on the estimates they're given, right? And then one of the other big, huge possible distinguishing you from your competitor is get in front of the ultimate decision makers, which is the developer. Market to developers. That's something that we got a big system coming on, and warning to all you developers that I know of and that I'm going to find out about. You're going to be getting emails and news market updates, newsletters from Tecton Framing, because we have identified that if we can influence and get in front of the developers, we're going to have close to a 50% more chance of getting that project if we have become a part of the developer's mind, if they're thinking about us. So we're going to be marketing to them. We're not going to be marketing to go direct to them, to all of our customers and general contractors. We're not trying to go around you. We're actually going to be doing some marketing for you, because we're going to have our recommendations. We're going to have the pros and cons of different general contractors. Same with architects and engineers. We're going to have the pros and cons and examples of great architects or great engineers. There's so much value that we're going to be pumping out to our developers. Maybe some general contractor owners and that will be involved, but for the most part, it's going to be developers there. And then we're going to let that knowledge and that persuasion to use us in the framing, we're going to let that drain down the pipe from the ultimate king down the pipe to the decision maker in the general contractor. And so we'll be influenced that way. This is I'm only using this example as how we're redefining sales in the subcontractor world that only sells to the general contractor. So big difference there. One of the things, and this kind of ties into what we just got done talking about, is one of the big things that one of my estimators said was, how do we sell on price instead of, or how do we identify where the value we add outweighs the price that we give them? So they're making the decision to hire Tecton on the value we add versus the price. And I know this concept is very common, like sell based on your value, not the price. Some of that does fall into that. You need training, you need to know how to sell, you need to know all that. But a huge part of it is getting in front of decision makers. Get in front of the decision makers, because these big projects, some of the big projects that we're doing are hundreds of millions of dollars on the whole project to the general contractor. Some of these projects are huge that way. And so if they can identify what subcontractor has them the success of the project most in their heads, they're going to tend to gravitate towards that subcontractor. So if we get in front of the project managers, I said previously, then they're going to look at Tecton Framing as someone that really wants the success of their project instead of just the contract of their project. So that's one way to get the price out the door and bring in the value that we're going to add. Get in front of the decision maker so they know we're interested in their project. We know their project through and through. Another great way is add value. I have a friendship with a great man, founder, and used to be CEO of Martin Harris Construction out of Nevada. And I asked him one question. I says, what from you, Frank. His name is Frank Martin. I says, if you had one suggestion to me as a subcontractor wanting to be hired by you, what would that suggestion be? How can I be hired by you and not let the solely based on the price? And he says, add more value. Simple as that. Add more value. Well, what does that look like, you may ask? Well, the honest truth is what other services can you provide that go hand in hand with your current status? Like for us, it's framing. What are we doing? What's going on with the project that we could do and add into our contract, add in under our umbrella that would allow the customer to say, I want to use Tecton because I don't have to worry about this, and this. They got that all taken care of. So for us, it's going to be supplying and installing the windows. It's going to be on a large scale, most of our projects, people would like us to do Tyvek. Why? Because it seals the building off. It protects our wood framing, which is another huge value because it barriers that from a lot of the weather. So if we provide that, then it's going to be added value. A lot of exterior siding people do, but they don't come for a while. They don't come to the project for a while. So if we'll do it before we leave, then their building's protected and sealed off on the exterior because we did windows and we did Tyvek. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to do roofing. Why? Because roofing's just another one of those things that it struggles on the schedule. Like we'll be doing a huge project in sections, right? And they want to bring the roofing in on top of us before we're done with the other part of the section. Well, the biggest reason why that's a problem is it creates a coordination, frustration, miscommunication. But if that was under our scope, the general contractor would just know as soon as we're off this part of the building, then we're going to bring our roofing crew in and get it done. It's all sealed off. Same with the windows and the Tyvek. We're just going to add that value. And so I want to create a added value and upsell. Our base bid is turnkey framing. Very seldom do we do labor supply. It has to be with a great contractor, a great customer. But you always want to see how you can add value that will not only help them lessen their worry and their stress, but to help with the schedule. And if you're in charge of it all, you're going to help with the schedule more. So another thing that we do right now, and we have supplied numerous buildings, is the structural steel that we are framing on. A lot of these projects have structural steel that we have to attach to, and I can't recall how many times our project was delayed by days or even weeks because we're waiting on the structural steel. Well, why are we waiting on the structural steel? Well, it's simply because miscommunication. Us, the framer, the general contractor, didn't notify the structural steel guys and give them a long enough lead time when exactly we needed it. But if we are, and we've experienced this many times, if we're supplying the structural steel, if we're in charge of the erection of the structural steel on these buildings, then we just have that coordinated perfectly. And some of our lead guys can do the erection of the structural steel as well as the framing, so they know that. So there's literally no pause in the schedule when we supply the structural steel to our wood framed buildings. And that's a huge value. And all of this stuff takes care of two things. It relieves stress off the project manager and the superintendent. It takes care of the communication barrier between those, I think it was 4 or 5 different subcontractors, framing suppliers, structural steel supplier and erector, because a lot of times those are separate. And then Tyvek and windows and roofing. Roofing, I'm not able to supply that yet, but that's coming in the coming months probably. So that's one of the huge game plans to be able to take us from Are you the low number? If you are, yes, we'll use Tecton. No, that's not where we want to be. And we do have this implemented with some of our customers where it's just like, we use Tecton framing no matter what because of the value they add us. We still have to be market price. And I think if you're a general contractor listening to this and you have a dedicated sub that you only use, and you don't test them, you don't go out and get a fair market price, they are not giving you fair market price. 100%, I believe that. I had a recent situation where one of my great friends that I cultivated a relationship, and we did a lot of work and we did well together. He quit one company, went to work for this other company. And with that relationship, I came with him as his preferred framer. Well, one of my big competitors has been doing the framing for this company, and because Rich, I will call him, because he went to work there, I came over there, so now I have an opportunity to bid and get this work, right? Relationships are so important. Then we identified, after I gave them the number, that this previous framer that just almost gets given the work from this developer and contractor was about $600,000 high. They were being taken for $600,000. And this is in a $5 million job. So, geez, that's freaking 15%. Don't quote me on that math. It's done in the moment, but that's a lot. And it's, it's just like, I just told the customer, I says, dude, I want this job bad. If as soon as I become your preferred framer, I can just charge you $600,000 more and be fine with it, And the point is like, when you're a preferred sub, give them an honest price. Give them an honest price. Don't take advantage of those that just do good for you. Actually give them more value, because they're the ones keeping your doors open, keeping the uncertainty, the unpredictability of this crazy market out, because you're loyal to each other. Hey, to me, that's one of the best ways in the service construction industry that you can set yourself apart from the price, because it is, with interest rates so high and so many jobs being put on pause, price is becoming a huge factor, and you can't let it if you want to continue to thrive and be successful in it. One of our core values here at Tecton is giving opportunity. And with that, we want to give opportunity to everyone in the business. And one of my models in my head, and one of my things I think about every time I have a meeting with each individual person, I have one-on-ones with each one of my guys every once in a while, is how can I get you to double your income? How can I get you to get more in the business? A lot of times then it's just like, well, give me a raise. No, that's not how it works. We're operating at a very low profit percentage, where if we give you more money as an employer, giving an employee more money, they need to be, whatever they're doing to get more money needs to be have a direct or indirect revenue gain. So you need that ability that if you're giving more money to your employee, they are directly raising your net profits or just your overall income. Focus on that top line. And one in particular individual is an estimator, and he's just like, we're creating a killer estimating to where we can bid huge projects at market price in literally hours, where if you didn't have that system, it'd take you days on some of these projects. But we're taking data, we're constantly updating data, we're constantly getting feedback and all that, which we know where the market is, and we know architectural pages, we know structural pages enough that we know if it's a certain architect, they get better pricing. If it's a certain engineer, they get better pricing. So with all that data, we're creating a system that we can really bid estimates really quick. And so what one individual, this estimator's finding out, is he has more time and he wants to make more money. And so the question is, how can I get to $100,000, or it was 150 to 250 a year with you? And it's just like, well, we have it separated in our company. We have estimating and then we have sales. And why do we have it separated? Well, it's a service-based business. You got to get the pricing, which is estimating, and then you got to have the person that goes and takes that pricing and sells the job. There's so much research to get in front of the decision makers that a full-time estimator doesn't have all the time to do that. But we're taking that hurdle out, where literally a salesman's going to be able to estimate a project based on the data that I give them in the system. And that'll be updated weekly and even daily at times. They're going to be able to estimate a job. Maybe they do it first thing in the morning. They get up early, they estimate the job for a couple hours, and then they go start the process of selling that job. Because our system is going to be so accurate and so quick, they're going to be able to do that. So that was what I proposed to this one individual, is like, look, you're getting really good at estimating. Just start doing sales. So like, if any of you guys know a service sales training system, I don't want to have to build one, because that takes time. That takes a lot of effort, where I just want to work on marketing. I want to work on growing my company. But if any of you know a service sales system, training system, hit me up, comment below and let me know, because that would be so damn important for growing my sales training. And I will not sign up to car salesman's training. I will not sign up to product salesman training sales platforms. They don't work for service-based. They confuse the fuck out of you. And one last topic before we go out, and this to me ties into the opportunity sector of my core value, and that is I encourage all of my guys to go to events, go to personal development events, go to sales events, go to all this. Like, just know they're hype events, and 99% of them have an upsell. Do not buy the upsells. It is my experience, you do not buy the upsells while you're at that event. If you are, 90% of the time you're doing it because you're hyped. You're not doing it because it's right for you. And so what I recommended to this individual is I said, start working on your self-confidence, your self-worth. Self-confidence is a direct result of your self-worth. If you value yourself up here, your self-confidence is going to be up here. But if your self-confidence is low and you don't know what to say, you just feel like, I don't have an opinion, all that stuff, that is a direct result of your self-worth. So you need to focus on skyrocketing your self-worth before your self-confidence will come up. And we can go into that one of these times. I'm going to do a podcast probably next week that's about self-development. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on self-development, and most of it you could call it a waste. But I've learned so much on it that I can't call it a waste. And most of what I've learned is what not to do. So I want to share with y'all one of these times about the correct way to approach and proceed with self-development events. But the biggest important thing on events is you got to go to events to raise your net worth, to raise your self-worth, to raise your self-confidence, to raise your social abilities. And there's information out there. There's that, but you're not going to get it just at your office in front of your computer. You need to get out there, get comfortable in your own skins, get comfortable talking to people. And to me, that's the biggest value of events. Don't go there thinking you want to buy something. All they got is an upsell, because that's where they make all their money. They don't make all their money on the event ticket. So know that, take advantage of it, get out in front of people, start raising your self-worth so your self-confidence can grow. People will look at you different. People will trust you different and better. And everything will just elevate. So get out there, put yourself out there, start creating content instead of observing the content. Your life, your mind will be a lot clearer. Get rid of all the noise and know that the noise you need to take in are some few people, maybe the top 6 people you're around. And let's get the grind on. Start putting yourself out there. Get your self-confidence, your self-worth, your net worth up by getting your networking up. So with that, subscribe, share, and let's get this channel growing, because there's only going to be pure value out of this channel here on out. We are finding our voice. We're finding what our customers need. And yes, I'm going to be doing some more relationship advice. Hell yes, I am. I have a great relationship. I have a great family. I will be putting relationship advice out there. I don't care about all you haters if you don't like it. You don't like it because you can't have what I have. You can't have the loyalty and the bond like I have with my wife. And you can't have the perfect home life for your family, for your kids, because you're too small-minded, because you're choosing to hate on the advice I'm giving you. That's why you can't have it. Start loving and start following the advice I give you, and you'll get it. See you next week.